today? What's Fred Hahn's approach to nutrition today?
So what I tell my clients now, and anybody who comes in for the first time, is nutrition's number one. If God came down from heaven and she said this is the perfect exercise program, and you did it, and then ate cheese doodles all day, nothing would happen, right? So your perfect exercise program is essentially worthless unless your nutrition is in order. So from everything that I've read, and doctors Mike and Mary Eads, they are brilliant, and everything they have ever taught me, along with many other experts like Dr. Jeff Volek, Dr. Richard Feynman, and Steve Finney, and all of these true experts in nutrition. I am not an expert in nutrition. I know a lot, but I'm not an expert. But what I teach my clients is, first and foremost, you got to eat real food. Try to eat real food. Try to keep the amount of sugar and refined, what I call carbohydrates, in your diet as minimal as possible. Recently, and eating adequate protein. Recently, I have come to believe through research that fasting, intermittent fasting, and prolonged fasting is extraordinarily helpful. More so than I thought. At first, I thought, well, that's good for obese people because they have more lean mass than they need. So if in the process of fasting they lose a lot of fat, but they lose a lot of bone, they lose a lot of muscle, they have more lean mass than they need anyway, so what's the difference? Turns out I was completely wrong. Why was I wrong? Because I never really read what I should have been reading. And when I started through, Dr. Jason Fung, who's a colleague of Dr. Eads, when I started reading his work, I was enlightened to the fact that I was completely wrong, that actually fasting boosts growth hormone. Fasting is extremely beneficial. Whether you're lean or whether you're over fat, it doesn't make any difference. So I started experimenting with it with myself, and have found, I have never been leaner or more muscular, and I'm 56 years old, than I am today. And in large part it's due to, I do usually minimally 18, sometimes 20, 22-hour fasts every single day. I have a very small feeding window, and in that feeding window, I eat, like I was saying, real food. I eat chicken and beef and lamb and vegetables and very little, maybe a little chocolate here and there, no alcohol whatsoever. And I now try and recommend that. I tell all my clients, read Dr. Fung's book. And if you need help with the implementation of that,
yeah. So with the fasting side of things, is there anything in particular you drink during the fasting hours?
Yeah, there's some good evidence to suggest that water's good, almost like a salty water, minerally, magnesium, potassium solution is good to drink throughout the day, especially if you're in the beginning stages of fasting, because you're producing a lot of ketones and you're kind of peeing out a lot of your minerals at first. But there was an ex-bodybuilder, I'm forgetting his name now, a PhD guy, that was saying, fasting, thumbs up. Everything about it, thumbs up. But all of the research that's done on no loss of lean tissue, and in fact some improvement, is done on normal people. Not on bodybuilders, not on people who possess already more muscle mass than normal. So what he suggested and tested this out was to have some amino acids with your drink, with your water, like a couple of, not a lot, so that you're getting your branched chain amino acids, your essential amino acids throughout the day. And he was testing it and found that it didn't mess with the fast at all. You were still in a strong ketogenic state, but that it maintained a higher level of muscle tissue. So that's what I've been doing. And actually, I do believe that I have no evidence to suggest this is true. I'm just saying, from my own personal experience, using my in-body device to measure lean mass and fat mass, when I started to add that amino acid drink, it made a difference.
You mentioned the in-body device there. What does that do?
So the in-body device is it works on a bioimpedance, which measures, basically what it does is it guesstimates total body water. From the total body water, it separates lean mass, meaning muscle and bone to a degree, from fat mass, subcutaneous fat, and visceral fat. Kind of spreads you apart and lets you know in your body what you're made of. So what we do is we track clients every week, and we can see if they're eating healthfully, properly, to lose fat, gain lean tissue, and we've seen some dramatic results with people, especially the clients who eat like a protein power, low sugar diet along with fasting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable.
So if we jump back, so I jumped ahead. I just got fascinated by that piece of equipment for a moment. If we jump back to the amino acids, so this is one case where a supplement can be beneficial.
One case, certainly.
Because there's so much stuff sold to people who are interested in exercise that I don't know, we're probably on the same page, but most of it is just worth flushing straight down
pretty much. And one thing I will say about that is all these keto drinks and keto. The thing is that what you're trying to do when you lose body fat, if you want to become healthier, you got to gain muscle, lose fat. That's it. That's what you're trying to do, right? It's that simple. If you're taking exogenous ketones, if you're drinking ketone drinks and your body's producing more ketones, what does your body have to break down its fat for to produce its own? So I imagine if you're like an MMA fighter and you've got to like spend an hour with high intensity efforts, your body may not be able to metabolize or mobilize body fat stores fast enough to provide enough ketones for the energy you need for that.
In which case
you would need maybe exogenous ketones. We're assuming the athlete's like on a low carb, low sugar, ketogenic diet. Yeah. So that's why I think a lot of highly glycolytic sports, like let's say MMA or something, those guys may need more carbohydrate or exogenous ketones to keep their energy up. But for regular people, you don't want it. You want your body to break down its fat, to open up the fat, to let the fat come out, go into your bloodstream. Body breaks the fat down for energy. You produce ketones and you feel better. You want to let that process happen. You don't want to thwart it by taking and using keto drinks or eating too much fat in your diet.
And these keto drinks seem to be the latest trend in supplements that are being pushed around quite a lot. So it's very interesting to have your take on that.
Right. And let your body do it.
Yeah, and you also just mentioned something else very interesting: eating too much fat.
Yes.
Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. Well, this is like stuff that Dr. Eads wrote about a long time ago, which is if you want to lose body fat on a low sugar, low carbohydrate diet, great. But if you're eating too much fat, why would your body break down its own fat tissue for fuel if you're feeding it adequate amounts? Answer: it won't. It's going to go, oh, thank you very much for the fat in my diet. I'll use this for the energy, thank you very much. Assuming you're on a low-carb diet and you're fat adapted, as Dr. Volek would say, if you're taking in too much fat in your diet, you're not going to get fatter, but you're not going to lose as much fat as you could have.
Gotcha. Because
there's just too much fat coming in. So,
what's too much?
Well, it would be for the individual. Like if I'm testing your body fat, so we see you're maintaining or gaining muscle and you're losing body fat. And all of a sudden you stop losing body fat. And you swear to me that you're eating correctly. I'm going to take you at face value.
Yeah.
Then first thing I would say to you is maybe you're eating too much fat. What the research showed, I should say, is that growth hormone goes up like thousands of %. And the way I put it to clients go, well, if I do fasting, I'm starving. It's like, no. Fasting and starving are two completely different things. If you're starving, then your body is basically in the process of dying. If you're fasting, like no calories are coming in whatsoever, then it's almost as if your body is like priming you for the hunt. Like, we need food. So it's sort of up-regulating itself so that you can go get that bison. You can't do that for too long. But if you think about it, and a lot of people talk, I didn't make this up, a lot of animals, especially like lions and tigers, they don't eat every day. And they're fine, so it's like you're primed for the hunt. So growth hormone goes up, testosterone, all of the hormones, whether you're male or female, all of the hormones that make you better get better. But if you can't sustain that production of better, then it's just going to go back down to where it was. And I think the addition of the amino acids without adding calories helps that.
Now you mentioned, so you have a lot of people on a fasting approach then.
I try to.
As best you can.
Yeah, because their reaction at first was like, I can't do that.
Do you recommend fasted workouts then? So will you have clients come in, they train, do you suggest then they break the fast pretty soon after the workout or not necessarily?
No, there doesn't seem, at first I did. I like it, if you work out and you break most of this down, you go, hurry up, get your bacon and eggs in, but as it turns out, that's not really necessary. there doesn't seem to be any good evidence to suggest that that's a requirement. So I just tell people, eat in your feeding window. Like for me, it's between 4 and 7, and don't worry about it.
Did it take you long to adapt to that shorter feeding window?
Not me, because I was eating low carb, very low sugar, higher fats with adequate protein for a long time. So I was already fairly fat adapted. I didn't really buy. It was a little bit like the first 18, 20 hour fast. I was like, I could really eat right now, but I wasn't like, what do they call it? Hangry. Mm-hmm. I wasn't hangry.
Okay.
Some people get hangry, especially people who are not fat adapted, who most of their diet is like, yogurt with bananas in the morning and, that kind of stuff. Those people can get hangry. So for some of those people, and Dr. Fung said this. He said, fast. And as soon as your body goes, I gotta eat. Then
draw the window out.
If you gotta eat, if that takes 2 weeks, so what? Fine, it's fine. Just don't go crazy about it. And I find that that's a good approach for